experience with this retrograde. So hi everyone, I am LaTanya Taylor, the Rev Coach. For those of you who don't already know me, this is a new platform that I'm using because I'm using, doing quite more conversations being via video, and have plans for us in September and the rest of the time going forward. The only disadvantage of doing the webinar here is that I can't really see your comments unless I'm really deliberate. And so I'm going to play with this to see how I can do this. Okay, so I see that you can see me. And yes, there is a meeting ID on Zoom. But this is, it doesn't quite work like that, Tisha. Thank you for asking. I'm really also thinking about doing the lives on YouTube as well, because I don't like the lag on Facebook, but here we go. So I'm gonna check on your comments in just a minute or so, but what I wanted to do was just come to you today during our Womanhood Wisdom Wednesday, our G-Spot Live, everybody. If you're new to the group, welcome to the group. Wow, the block has been hot, right? So let me just tell you what I'm doing and why, sometimes when stuff pops off, you really don't see a lot of times me popping off with it. It doesn't mean that I don't have emotion around it, but I want to say that a lot of times, a lot of you come on here, you come into spiritual circles and you hear this kind of talk about eclipse and things, and it's kind of like just talk to some of you all. Because when I said 2 weeks ago, the month of August is going to be the most intense month of 2017, I'm wondering, did you hear me when I said that? Let me explain to you, whenever we're talking about full moons, eclipse, super moons, and big changes planetarily, if I didn't say it before, let me say it again. You can almost expect stuff to pop off in the world and also in your life. And even though I was teaching it, so here's the grace and the mercy in all of that. Even though I was teaching it, the very first week of August, I had my own breakdown. I didn't know where it was coming from. And I think I might have taught about how I had absorbed some energy. In fact, those who are in the Juicy Spirit Rites of Passage process actually got a chance to witness the clearing, because my friend had just lost her daughter, and that and I knew her story. It's just like any of you who have had a traumatic experience in your life, and you getting your wind back, and you're moving in the energy of abundance, and life is opening, and then all of a sudden something happens. Well, when that happened, when her death was announced, I learned about it on Facebook. That was the first time I ever got on Facebook and I've been shocked by some things when I've gotten on Facebook, but it took my breath away. And so I didn't do anything about it. And I'm going somewhere with this. I kept it moving. And some of this will speak to some of you, because sometimes when things have happened in your life, you kept it moving also. Some of you had to keep it moving. Some of you, you felt like you had no choice but to keep it moving, right? Okay, so I kept it moving. And then all of a sudden I could feel myself getting heavier and heavier. Every single one of you that's been either in process with me, in coaching with me, or just, have been in coaching and you trust me enough to share. A lot of people have been talking about how heavy they feel. It's not your imagination. Not to mention logging on to Facebook. Then some of you are TV-aholics, so you go from Facebook in the morning to CNN, MS, all of the news networks, Fox News, if you dare, or your local news. And you go from waking up in the morning into that. And so check this out, sisters. If you're not praying If you're studying all of this high science when it comes to your femininity, you're working with yoni eggs, you're you're taking herbs and doing herbal programs, you're going to every website and blog and liking their posts and following them and reposting it and teaching, telling about the principles and being positive and all of that stuff. If you're not doing anything to maintain yourself, it will sneak up on you. It'll come out of the blue. And that applies to me, even though, and especially it also applies to empaths. And I talked about that. Listen, we've been preparing for this. And I know that sometimes when we hear it, we think about our personal lives first, but we don't tend to look out at what's happening in the world as a factor. And if you feel powerless in this world based off of the systems that we have been introduced to use, many of us don't know that there are other systems and pseudo systems that really a lot of the rules don't apply to. And then when we see that it doesn't apply, sometimes we get more angry and more pissed off and such. So when we saw what happened in Charlottesville, it has stirred up the wound, the collective wound again. The first thing that starts to happen when the collective wound is starting and it's at the pace of crescendo is you see the old head preachers and teachers that are coming out calling for peace. I've learned to be very suspicious of people who call for peace when it comes to chaos. And this is where we're going when it comes to chaos. Because we've become so programmed to think that chaos is not an organic part of our becoming. So we pray for change in our lives. We pray for change in our world. We hope for a better world. We hope for a better life for ourselves, for our children, for our families. And then when change is we're invited to change, a lot of times there is resistance or cover my face. I don't want to see it. I don't want to deal with it. As a woman, you are the priestess of your household. I don't care what you've been taught to believe. And a lot of those hand-me-down teachings about the role of the woman is supposed to be, it ends up organically being something different anyway. So I don't even have to go out and make a case to prove anything to some of you, because you all know, you've seen the little adages, when mama's not happy, nobody's happy. Now listen, that applies not just to your household or your mother's household or your grandmother's household. It applies to you. But if you are still seeing yourself as powerless, oftentimes we'll have very little girl thoughts when it comes to our world. We don't see ourselves sometimes as a change agent. And then coupled with when mama's not happy and nobody's happy, then we also don't look at the world. We call the earth the mother. We call her Mother Earth. And anything feminine that gives us life is earth. Is woman. It is feminine. It is female. Gender has a role in law. Okay. I'm establishing something here. And because I hope that my intention is so that those of you who are growing forth in Goddess, Good Girls Gone Goddess is the space for all women who are growing forth in their goddess-ship. Sometimes when you come in here, it may be a reminder. You may hear certain themes repeated, because repetition is the mother of skill. It's the mother of mastery. And so many of us have made a conscious choice to at least master ourselves, master our vision. And now I'm presenting this opportunity for us to master our money, master sex, sexual relations, master our love and our relationships with our men. Even if you are lesbian and you have a poor relationship with men, then you're missing the opportunity. If you say, I'm a lesbian, I don't have to have a relationship with men or the masculine, you are very mistaken. And it will show up in your life in other ways that the masculine will continue to present itself. So, sex, love, and money. Now, here's what's happening. 5 planets are in retrograde. Mercury, Uranus, let me tell you, Neptune, and Pluto. Everybody already kind of is getting more familiar with a Mercury retrograde, so you know that it governs communication, travel, technology. You know that a retrograde is moving backwards, right? It is the time for you to slow down, for you to review your life. That's what a retrograde is. But somehow, with our fear of chaos, and what I mean by chaos is when your emotions start to stir, when you start to feel the heaviness, the first thing that we do is we get scared and say, something's wrong. I'm not supposed to be feeling this way. And what I'm saying to you is, what if you are supposed to be feeling this way? Because planetarily, things are happening on the earth, in the cosmos, in our world, that if we have not chosen our path, if we have not chosen mastery, then guess what? It's going to happen with or without you. You can, this message of the Lion's Gate eclipse that we're going to is let go or be dragged. Let go of the emotions that you've been holding on to. Let go of the hiding that you've been holding on to. Let go of the justifications for why you play small, you don't participate, you don't hide, you don't like people, they get on my nerves, I can't take it from them, because all of these things are going to keep coming up, because it's here for us to be able to revisit it. If we are revisiting it there's an opportunity to reclaim yourself in it. I love that in the month of August that our mothers, that's because, you know, we say that about speaking truth to principalities and high places. Well, Maxine Waters spoke that truth in principality to high places, didn't she? She used their own rules to discuss reclaiming my time. And so what I did was, I know for me, after I had that moment where it caught up to me, I said, okay, I see what's up. Normally, I move very, very fast. And I'm learning as I work with you all, setting up your gold accounts, and and sometimes I'm working with you on setting up something that involves attention to detail. I'm learning that I'm not the only one. I am not the only one that moves fast and ends up having to go back, retrograde, because that's what going back is, and fix it, repair it. But here's the opportunity that this eclipse is presenting if you want it. Anything that you did not choose to face or deal with, it's allowing you to. And most of the times it's in the place where you are experiencing the most upset. I'm gonna finish and then I'm gonna give us some tools. The mass unrest that we are seeing, from what I understand, I hope I'm not saying this wrong, the influence over this eclipse is Aquarius. Not to mention, it's being considered a Nat Turner eclipse. So civil unrest and uprising is almost destined. First of all, we're in a time where people are waking up. They're not as controlled by old dogma, old concepts. People are asking questions about everything. God, food. You see everybody's talking about becoming vegan. So once you start entering at these different portals, it's going to be a domino effect. So actually the world is changing for our good, but we can't see it because usually all change is resisted fiercely first. Now in the world, we see it being resisted by another force that we almost consider a demonic force, a demonic presence. But honey, what happens when you don't deal with your own inner enemy? We're so focused sometimes on an external enemy, and you best believe that people of greatness, people of ancient descent do have a natural enemy. If you study nature, come on now, don't make me teach and preach up in here. If you study nature, y'all be talking about you love nature. I love me some nature. I want to be out there. I do too. Y'all know I prefer broadcasting outside just because of nature. What I started to learn when I was in Costa Rica, I was like, well, damn, nature is vicious. Nature is survival of the fittest. Nature is about eating, sleeping. It's not one-upsmanship. It literally is the place of survival. So when we start talking about nature and our nature, we're talking, there is the primal nature, and then there is the ascended nature. And so when we talk about nature, there is a place in nature that is absolute chaos. Have you ever been in the jungle and when nightfall or when the morning, when the sun is rising and you're like, oh my God, if I had bumped into that in the nighttime, I would have peed in my pants, or I don't know what I would have done or whatever. Well, in Costa Rica, I got a chance going to the real jungle. I was humbled by the stories of anacondas and moccasins and all kind of things that would sometimes be in, what's that, boa constrictors, mainly boa constrictors that would be in people's houses, and how people learn to live with damn snakes, okay? I'm not making this up. I can post pictures in the comments to show you that there have been people in other parts of Costa Rica who've woken up and there's 2 snakes coiled up, sleeping right up in the corner with them. Nature. I learned about nature and the woman when a cat randomly came to us. We summoned the energy of Basset. And look, if you're Christian, don't worry about this. Don't think that it's a rub against something you believe. But listen, we're always summoning forces and energies. And when I mean summon, all I mean was we were studying and actually was thinking about the beauty of the cat's energy and what a cat does. I've told this, I posted about this. Some of you all can remember the post because I posted the picture of the cat. We named her and everything. But the cat was wild. And I remember that as a young girl, I grew up with wild cats. And they're not easy to domesticate. It's a process. It takes time. So listen, when we look at this chaos that is happening, there's some things that you cannot control. And many of us who have been perfectionists, if you have ever been or tried to be a good girl because you felt like you were being bad, a lot of times when shit starts to happen, we want to go and fix it and make it go away instead of really saying, what is this presenting? In medicine, in medicine is not unlike healing. In medicine, you look at what's presenting. So here's what's presenting in the cosmos. Now let's see how it's presenting in your cosmos, in your world, because you as a human being, and especially as a woman, you govern the world that you are orbiting in. You are in orbit, okay? So check this out. Saturn is in retrograde. Saturn is the taskmaster. It is the energy of discipline. So any place where you have not been disciplined, you're going to see stuff coming up around discipline. You may see it in your world or in someone else's world. Saturn also governs our relationship with the ancestors. And so some of us are revisiting some questions that we need to ask about our lineage, about our family patterns, about our health histories, about just everything regarding family, right? So you have that. Now, Uranus is the planet of surprise. It is the planet of individualism as well. And so what it means is it governs emotions. So that's a part of that surprise element of where did this come from? Where did this feeling come from? I definitely experienced it the first week. It went into retrograde right after the first, it went into retrograde as soon as 888. It went into retrograde. Okay. Anyone that has Sagittarius energy that's in their chart, you may be feeling a lot of pressure. If you're an Aquarius, have a lot of Aquarius energy in your chart, you may be feeling the spirit of, I don't want to follow the rules. I'm not doing that. I'm going to do it my way. And maybe you've been operating in your way for a long time. And so Aquariuses tend to learn their lessons very, very, very hard. You're going to see a lot of questions in your spirit around your purpose. What am I here for? Am I living on my purpose? I know that I'm supposed to be doing more than this. And Uranus is retrograding in Aries. So check this out. Every planet is retrograding inside, under the influence of another planet. So that kind of tells you how it's going to perform. Okay. That's why Uranus was more of an emotional feeling, because Aries moves very fast. I don't know if you can tell how hot I am. Aries moves very, very fast. And so it's saying clean up your house, clean up your emotional house, clean up how you're feeling. Let me check in on the comments, because remember, I'm having to work with two screens here. All right, thank you for those of you who are scribing. Yes, you say I can relate to moving fast. Yes, Nat Turner. Go study Nat Turner if you don't know who he is, okay? Wherever you are experiencing the most triggers, yes, Nina, thank you for the review. If you're being triggered by your family, there's something there for you to heal. How do you heal? How do you embrace chaos? First of all, you feel, heal, and deal. Feel, heal, and deal. I often use that hashtag. Many of us as women, the first thing that we do is we avoid feeling. That's how we start overeating. That's how we start becoming absent, fight or flight, running from the situation, or fighting everything that's coming to you. A lot of us are fighting so much about the things that are the information that's coming. You can't even see that your prayers are being answered. I cannot tell you in my love life, in my relationship, how I know that I conjured, prayed for, ritual for this man that I have. And there are times when my mind has been in my life, you might know my glory, but you don't know my story. And if you don't know my glory, it's because I hadn't told you enough of my story. But listen, there are times when I've had to say, why are you putting up so much resistance to somebody that you know is assigned to you? My husband is assigned to me. There are people in your life that are assigned to you. There are situations where people are giving you good word, and you can't hear it because of the fear. And so it's in and out, up and down, in and out, up and down. I'm in the community 1 minute. I'm all in the process 1 minute, then I'm out. That is a lot of what a retrograde brings up for you to be able to see. Okay? Y'all with me? Any questions so far? I see that some of you say that the retrograde, it knocked you off for three days, but guess what? It's still happening. The retrograde is 5 planets in retrograde. So this is about thinking strategically, slowing down. This is why I'm doing, if you haven't signed up for the money charm strategy, I talk about a lot in here, but I can't give you strategy in just an open group. I have to give it to the people who want it. And that's another thing for many of us as women. Listen, many of us have been giving ourselves away to people, situations, energy that don't want it. So you're spending time sometimes trying to save people, trying to make sure people get it. And you don't see your own value and your own worth. I'm telling you all, every one of you who are signed up for this money charm, I cannot wait to break down the first thing that I started talking about on the free broadcast right here in this group, and that is pay yourself first. Sabira and I was talking, and when we come together as two ministers, our ashe is always speaking. Our ashe is always revealing. And you're not talking to any, can I just be unedited? Can the Rev Coach be unedited for a minute here? I don't even have to say it. But in the streets, they say a bum. It's not like I ever been no bum B, right? I've had many lives in my young life. And that's because of who I am and what I'm called to do. So I ain't struggling. I ain't hurting. I'm eating good. I'm living good for the most part. I am living it at choice. Many of us have not been taught how to live at choice. And some of us think that we're living at choice and we're not. This kind of energy, it feels like chaos. But one of the ways of reclaiming your time is to be able to stop running from what it is that you need to face. Face it. Get support around it. Ask for help. Ask, what is it that what information are you bringing to me, right? Every moment is an opportunity for you to find that place of power inside of you. Many of us have been so programmed to believe that we are powerless in our situations because of the way that we think, because of the way we've been programmed. Some of our thinking is, when I say the way that we think, I don't want you to condemn yourself. I'm talking about the way we have been programmed to think. And so we have not built up our capacity sometimes to be able to think different long enough, to be outside of ourselves long enough. That's what the pay yourself first process that we're doing. It helps you to get outside. Look, I saw, based off of the plan that the system that we're presenting to people on how to save and how to stop crying about survival and is it enough? Because that's usually the very thing that weighs down a woman's womb. It weighs down her breasts, her ability to nurture and be nurtured. It starts here at your crown. Sisters, put your crown back on. Put your proverbial crown back on. Put your big girl panties on. One of the ways that a woman can heal is that when she starts to face the thing that she's been running from by choice, not by force. And that's what this one invites you to do. This August is an opportunity for you to get off the sidelines of your life, for you to stop discounting yourself. Many of you who are always looking for a discount are always talking about what you can't have, what you can't do. I don't think I can do it. I don't know if I'm going to get it. I don't know. Some of you are looking for jobs and you already start off with the spirit of defeat. It's a lot of competition out here, but who are you competing with? Because you got to volunteer into some of these thought forms. The same way there's chaos happening in the world, don't you think that them broadcasting it and running it, and you all, if you know that the news is produced, let's say you have something going on, and you're a mother raising children, and maybe you got 3-4 children and stuff is going on with them, and it has you concerned and worried about them. So you're trying to get everything in orbit in your house, right? Or in your community, or whatever it is you're doing. Now you go to work and you have a lot of responsibility. You are a leader. And so now here you are, maintaining in your personal world, maintaining in your professional world, and the world outside of you has this chaos. Ladies, we are not nearly as helpless as we think we are. When we get this type of information that helps us to continue to grow in God, it's not as a one-time thing, but literally as a lifestyle. we begin to put on our crown in situations. This is when we start to ritual. This is when we begin to walk the floor and pray. This is when we start to send, when we talk about sending energy. What kind of energy? People don't need your fear energy. Are you praying fear? Or are you praying power? And some things don't even need to be regurgitated and talked about, because it's the equivalence of throwing up on yourself when we're talking about the stuff that's happening in the world. Why do you need to rebroadcast what's happening on CNN? Check this out. Let me tell you. But look at how powerful it is. If you have the energy, the wherewithal, and the ability to do that, what would happen if every time you were worried or pissed off by the president or decision, you dropped into a prayer or affirmation? What if you went and wrote in your journal an affirmation to confirm, affirm, declare, and to decree over your life and over the life of this United States and or the Americas or North America? Because Sierra Leone is experiencing a mudslide. You think that's accidental? Every time there is a cosmic event, the earth manifests some type of chaos. It's all birth, it's birth. And you know, my company is ReBirth International, and I'm telling you, I'm in love with the idea of how we birth ourselves beyond the body. And listen, if some of us have had orgasmic births in this circle, some of us have just had the baby fall out of the womb in this circle, but most people have gone through labor. That's chaos. When a woman gets ready to give birth, she is on the edge of death. When you are in the process of profound change, when you are in the process of accessing a new dimension of information, inspiration, strategy, when you are in the process of being invited to a whole nother way of being, it will feel like chaos at first. Because even the universe qualifies your readiness, because some things, if we are not ready for them, we will not be able to manage it anyway. Let me give an example with us doing this money charm in the month of August. Now we're playing a game inside of the group. Okay. We're playing a game. The objective of the game inside the paid group is to help you to expand your imagination and capacity for around money, because many of us only think about getting more money to pay damn bills. Come on now. If I said to you, here's an extra $100,000, many of you start saying, I pay my mortgage off. I would catch up on my credit card bills. Some of you say, oh man, I would all these bills. I would go get me a new car, all of this stuff, because women innately want to be secure. Women want to feel security. Women want to feel security in themselves. And so we look for it first outside of ourselves. When you are severely insecure, you can have a PhD, you can be Esquire, you can be the top 100 in corporate America. You can be the most sought out entertainer. But when you do not have security within yourself, you see that when the bills are paid and when the calls are coming through, when you are most desired, if you do not have a secured relationship with your divinity, with your feminine self, you will look for a reason to find an escape. You will look for ways to surround yourself with people who do not tell you the truth. That's what a lot of entertainers have. We admire them so much. And then they have to go through the chaos of becoming. So it's not about what you have and what you didn't do well with. Some of you are still beating yourself up for choices and decisions that you made. And I must say to you, I get it. I can tell you, I've had to get over a lot of things. I've healed my relationship with my father. I've been the daddy's girl who felt rejected and abandoned. I've had the mama issues where I just couldn't understand how I was birthed to a woman who wouldn't love me and could the way that I thought that I should be loved. I have been in situations where I've had and I've lost. I've been in situations where I've been at the table with the best of the best and didn't know that I was being invited to the table because of what was going on inside of me. Sometimes the inner conversation about what is happening in your life is louder than the truth. And truth is starting to become stranger than fiction, ladies. And so when you're talking about living this journey, don't be afraid of chaos. I did a lecture on mothering chaos. I forgot the name of the title. If you're interested in it, I'm willing to share that particular teaching with you for just $9.99. $9.99. I'm willing to share it with you. It's worth much more because I think we did 2 days. That offer ends within an hour of this broadcast. And I'm going to start making more and more offers like that. $9.99. I will send that to you because we're going to keep on having uprisings and situations that are happening outside of us. And we have to be able to know how to get to our altar, how to set up our sacred space, how to do this, not just for ourselves, but for the world. When you're in survival mode, when you are functioning on haters outside of you, when you think somebody is trying to destroy you and come against you, you function very differently. Your listening is very different. And also your ability to manifest the next thing. Some of us are in holding spaces because we're still holding on to what has already passed. And we're not present. We're not present in this moment because we are too far ahead in the future that's moving too fast, or we are stuck in the past, still processing and protecting stuff that has already passed. So listen, ladies, if you if you do not want to do the subscription, which the subscription amount is closed. The incentive is to get into the subscription. The first 10 days of the month is open for you to get in. But if you say, hey, I don't want to do a subscription, I'll pay, then you'll be able to get the class that I'm doing tomorrow. It's $97. You'll be able to get the worksheets, the video. You can come in live. You'll have the recording. And you will also get the resources that go with the process, okay? So you're welcome to join that process. However, for this group in Good Girls Gone Goddess, if you would like to get in right now on the subscription rate and you want to see how you can even use this process to pay nothing, the subscription that pays for itself, if you learn this pay yourself first, I'm mentoring and providing the educational track to shift our relationship with money. I'm calling it Get in Position to Prosper. You get that at no additional cost. And that's already up for you to get caught up. You'll jump into the Money Charm class tomorrow night at 9 p.m. And tomorrow night at 9 p.m., we release Money Charm Strategy. And then I'm going to be working with the people who have declared succulent success over their life. So it's 2 tracks and it's one system. And then next month, we are going to be dealing with our relationship with men. So it's going to get even more juicy up in here, because we'll talk a little bit about it here. And then I got some great stuff coming up later that I'll share with you. So thank you for embracing the chaos, questioning the chaos. I'm going to check over in the live to see if you have any questions. Okay, thank you for capturing that, Risha. Put your crown on. You never hear me say back on. Language is everything. Or if I said it, I didn't mean to say back on. Just put your crown on. We don't want to do back. We don't want to do back nothing. And so listen, it's been a pleasure. I see that you all don't have any questions. Stay with this energy. Take your time, slow down. You may want to look at doing some hobbies. You may want to look at preparing your family. Do you have candles in your house? Do you have water? You all know I sell alkaline water machines. Is there a way for you to treat your water if something happens? See, you got to understand, warfare happens on many levels. And so in here, we're talking about spiritual warfare. We're witnessing physical warfare on our own land. Civil unrest is nothing but warfare. And we see warfare in principalities. As a people, as who we are, we need to be preparing ourselves. Can you run up a flight of stairs? Come on now, talk to me. If something happened and you needed to run, are you going to get winded? Do you know, for me, one of the things I'm doing is learning. My goal is to learn how to swim. One, because of pleasure and travel, but also because the purpose of swimming and what it does for the feminine. There's some things that you could be doing for yourself, my lovers out there. You can be able to do some things to shift your energy. Are you planning your money? If the banks shut down, because you got to understand, if martial law is declared, can you access your money? Have y'all ever been in that? Anybody that's from New Orleans ought to put a ouch, a amen, or a in the comments. We're talking about, they called our people in New Orleans refugees, but on their driver's license, they have a state that something that calls them a citizen. See, we don't understand how we are already in a pickle, because we have been classified by terms that we don't know what they are. So we think we have rights that our status won't allow us to access. Come on now. You understand what I'm saying? We're talking about human rights, civil rights, and we're talking about First Amendment rights. Have you all ever studied the First Amendment? Do you know where you stand in law? Because when I come on here, I'm talking about spiritual law. But when you work with me, you start learning how to apply it in other areas. And I'm telling y'all, ladies, if I had known what I know now, but it took me to go through the chaos and the willingness to take some risks, to do it alone. Now it took a risk to do it in partnership again. When you've been loved and you've been hurt in love, when you get ready to do love again, it's a risk. When you have lost money or have not been good with money, yes, it is a risk to say, I'm going to start paying myself first consistently without fail. It's a risk to change, a risk to grow, because it forces people around you to catch up with you. Come on now. It's a risk to show up great. Come on now. Reverend Nicole has a ministry that says it's show up great. It's a risk to reclaim your time, because it's a lot happening in the world. A lot of things are happening on social media, and I'm not really on it. I'm nurturing only the people in that said, yes, I want to grow forth in my life in Goddess. It's a risk to create boundaries. I did not understand that why so many millionaires, my millionaire coaches, some of my people who are on television, and why they say the first thing that happens is you're going to have to be able to shift, lose, release some friendships. The same way that you got to release that, you got to release the thoughts that will help you to release yourself into your next level, into your next dimension. I didn't understand it. And since I've been back in DC, I'm not necessarily doing what I was doing let me say, since I've been forward in DC, not back. I have to cancel. So when you put something out there and you're working on your language and you are looking to create and to affirm, cancel it. Since I have been forward and thinking forward about legacy, about business, about ministry, listen, everything that I have resisted has come back to me as the very thing that's going to be, what's the word? I'll just say juicy. I'm not doing what I did before. So that means that certain invitations I'm not accepting. Reclaim your time also means qualify people for your time. Qualify people for your yoni. Qualify people for who you are going to mate with. Qualify people when it comes to your partnerships. Qualify that, but you gotta slow down and deal with yourself. Otherwise, we are no different than the thing that we criticize. We can be arrogant, uptight, perfectionist, trying to get it right, so focused on being right that we lose the ability to be in our joy, to be happy, to be in peace. So listen, that's the end of my broadcast today, ladies. I went a little over. Thank you all for bearing with me, hanging in there with me for the technical glitches. If you're interested, you have to send me a note in inbox if you would like to get into this session within the hour of viewing this. Even if you watch it later, I will honor it. But my goal is that you will be able to get in here and get it all in. So I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. I will see you all on the other side really soon. Ciao, everyone.